Hello, welcome again. We are looking at factorization of quadratic expressions. We started doing this thing last time, but we did some few examples. So today we are going to proceed to an advanced level of factorization. But first of all, let us recall the last thing we did. We faced some kind of questions like this. We are told to factorize a squared minus 5a plus a minus 5. And I said that this one step has already been done for us. So what remains is to factorize, put this into two brackets, and then we factor out what is common from each bracket, and then we pick what is outside the bracket, and then we put in a single bracket. Then we pick the other pair of bracket, and we now multiply. Now, we say that this one, you are going to start by grouping them into two pairs like this. So then you ask yourself, what is common in the first bracket? Between a squared minus 5a, what is common? You are able to see that the common term there is a. And then you shall have, this is going to be a into a minus 5. Then what is common in this other side? Plus a minus 5. You are not able to see it, but it should be 1 times a minus 1 times 5. So it is positive 1 which is common into a minus 5. So now pick what is outside the bracket. It is a plus 1 into a minus 5. So therefore that bracket will now become a plus 1 into a minus 5 as the correct factorization. Now, how did we get the common term in the second bracket plus a minus 5? Sometimes it's not able to be visible. But now, you look at the first bracket we obtained. After factoring out the first bracket, what we ended up with is a minus 5. Again, if you look at this, it is plus a minus 5. So the best way to do it is just know that that other bracket is going to be the same as the first bracket is going to be the same as the second bracket, and then you look for a common term such that when you multiply this bracket with, you end up with what you started with, positive a minus 5. So then the only value that we may have to multiply this entire bracket, so that when we open it, we end back to plus a minus 5 is positive 1. Positive 1 times a is positive a. Positive 1 times negative 5, positive times negative becomes negative. So you end up with negative 5. Now let us move to advanced levels, and now this is where people are now going to get stuck, or students don't understand well, but because I have you here, you are going to get to know how to factorize this. Now this is the format of a quadratic expression. Quadratic expressions take the format ax plus ax squared plus bx plus c. AC is called product, and then the middle part is called v, and this is normally the sum. Now if you look at the arrangement in this case, quadratic expressions are such that if you take the first number, multiply by the second number, you get a given value, and then if you compare with the middle value, you can be able to find two numbers such that if you multiply those two numbers, you get that what we are calling the product, and if you add those two numbers, you get the number in the middle. So now in this case, we're having x squared plus 6x plus 8. So our product is going to be 1. There is 1 here, but nobody's writing for you, but you should be able to know that. So we are going to have that the product is 1 times 8, which is 8. Sum is 6, positive 6. So we are going to think about two numbers such that when you multiply them, you get 8. When you add them, you get 6. Which numbers are these? So let's see. Which numbers can you add to give you 6? There are very many. But which numbers can you multiply to give you 8? It is 1 times 8. It is 2 times 4. Which other number can give you 8 if you multiply? So I think basically these are the main. So now from this product, you are now able to identify which arrangement will give the sum. Is 1 plus 8 gives you 6? No. Can 2 plus 4 give you 6? Yes. So therefore these are the pair, these are the two numbers that can be multiplied to give us 8 and can be added to give us 6. So it is 2 and 4. We call these numbers factors. Now these factors are going to be used to replace the middle part containing x. How do we now replace? We shall have x squared plus, instead of writing plus 6, we are now going to write plus 2x and then plus 4x, and then now you complete it by adding the other value of 8. So remember, now if you take plus 2x plus 4x, you end up with plus 6x that we had. So we have not changed this quadratic expression. We have just factored out the middle part so that we have two numbers that were added to give us the 6 that we ended up with. So we are going to have x squared plus 2x plus 4x, and 2x plus 4x is the 6x that we have originally, and then finally plus 8. Now at this point, these are what we have been doing. This is what we have been doing. So now group these into two brackets. So we are now going to have the common term in the first bracket is x. So it's going to be x into x plus 2. Now I want to give you an easy way of finding what is to be written in the second bracket. The second bracket will also have x plus 2. So once you have gotten your first bracket, know that the other side will also have x plus 2. And then now look for a number such that if you multiply this bracket of x plus 2, you end up with 4x plus 8. And it is very easy. Here having x, you want to end up with 4x. What should you multiply this x with to end up with 4x? Automatically, it becomes 4. Now, if you put here minus, then it will not augur well with what I'm supposed to be having, because negative 4 times x will be negative 4x. But here we're having 4x. So therefore, automatically that number becomes positive 4. So this sign here should be positive. So it now becomes positive 4. So at the last step now is to pick numbers outside the bracket. We shall have x plus 4 in one bracket, and then because this bracket and this one are similar, we are going to pick one of them. So now x plus 2. So therefore the correct factorization is x plus 4 into x plus 2. Now we are allowed to rearrange this bracket. If somebody gives x plus 2 into x plus 4, it is still 1 and the same thing. This is the same as the other one. So don't worry if maybe yours was x plus 2 into x plus 4, it is the same. That was example 1 that required you to know how to convert the middle part to have two values at the middle part. Let's see this other one. X squared here should be plus x squared plus 11x plus 28. How will you simplify this? How will you factorize this, I mean? So now product is 1 times 28, which gives you 28. Sum is 11. We are going to look for numbers such that when you multiply them, you get 28. And then we are going to pick a pair that will give us the sum which is equivalent to 11. Now, we have the first numbers that can give us 28 when multiplied. We have 14 and 2. We have 28 and 1. We have 7 and 4. These are the numbers that can give us 28 when multiplied. Now, which pair will give us 11 when added? 14 plus 2 is 16. 28 plus 1 is 29. What about 7 plus 4 is 11? So therefore, we're going to pick this instead. So the factors now becomes 4 and 11. So these are what we are going to use to substitute the middle part. So we shall have x squared plus 4x plus 7x plus 28. And at this point now, group these into two brackets. What is common in the first bracket? It is x. So x into x plus 4. And then I told you, after finding the first bracket, the other bracket is also going to be x plus 4. And then look for a number such that when you multiply this bracket with, you end up with 7x. 7x is the reference point. So 7x, from x to 7x, you need to multiply that by positive 7. It is positive 7. Why? Because we had it is 4x plus 7x. You cannot multiply this by negative 7 because that one will now change everything. So it is positive 7. So we shall now have it is x plus 7. You now pick numbers outside the bracket with the sign before them into x plus 4. this becomes the correct factorization of this. The next is y squared plus 8y minus 48. Now, at this point now, we are having a different situation where product is 1 times negative 48, which is negative 48. Sum is positive number, which is positive 8. So we are looking for factors, two numbers such that when you multiply them, you get negative 48. When you add them, you get positive 8. Now, in this case, when the product is negative, it means that one of the numbers is negative. One of the numbers that we're talking about here must be negative. If the product is negative, then one of the numbers must be negative. That is the first clue that you need to know. The first thing that you need to know is that if the product is negative, then one of the two numbers that we're talking about is also negative. Now, which numbers can you multiply to give you negative 48? The first one is negative 1 and 48, negative 48 and 1. The other one is negative 8 and 6, or 6 and negative 8. The other one is negative 12 and 4, or 4 or negative 4 and 12. So now you have to try out and see which pair will give you the sum, which is positive 8. Negative 4 plus 12 should give us positive 8. Therefore, the factors are negative 4 and positive 12. So now we substitute this at the middle here. That will be substituted there. So we shall now have y squared minus 4y, y squared minus 4y plus 12y minus 48. And then we now pair them up. So what is supposed to be in the first bracket? What is common? It is y. So it should be y into y minus 4. And then automatically the other bracket should also have y minus 4. And then we want to find a number such that when you multiply this bracket, we end up with positive 12y. From positive y to positive 12y, we need to multiply that by positive 12. And then now pick numbers outside the bracket, y plus 12 into y minus 4. And of course, this becomes the final answer, y plus 12 into y minus 4. 3 minus 4x plus x squared. I want to assure you that this one is not a wrong question. You just need to, first of all, rearrange, start with x squared, then move to 4x, and then add 3. X is positive, this is negative, this is positive. Then we now have our equation being x squared minus 4x plus 3. So now, at this point, product is going to be positive 3, 1 times 3. Sum is negative 4. Factors is going to be what? Now, in this case, if product is positive and the sum is negative, then both the numbers that we are going to find must be negative. All of them must be negative. If the product is positive and the sum is negative, then all the numbers that are supposed to be finding all of them should be negative. So we now think about two negative numbers such that when you multiply them, you end up with positive 3. So therefore that is going to be 1 and 3, negative 1 and negative 3. Those are the only one, or 1.5 and 2, or negative 1.5 and negative 2. And remember I said that if the sum is negative and the product is positive, all the two numbers must be negative. So therefore that one means that 1 and 3 is not part of it. 1.5 and 2 is not part of the numbers. So it is either 1.5, negative 1.5 and negative 2, or negative 1 and negative 3. The pair that gives us negative 4 when added is negative 3 and negative 1. Negative 3 plus negative 1 gives you negative 4. Now this is what we are going to use to substitute the middle part there. So what will we have? We'll now have x squared minus x minus 3x plus 3. And then now group them into pairs. So we shall have x into x minus 1 and then x minus 1 will also be part of what will be in the other bracket. Then remember, we want to come from x to negative x that we have here. From x to negative x, what do? We multiply this by negative 3. Yes, then we shall now have x minus 3 into x minus 1. I hope you are able to understand that if you now take negative 3 that we have here by x gives you negative 3x, and then negative 3 by negative 1 gives you positive 3. So therefore the correct one is supposed to be negative 3 outside the second bracket. So therefore picking what is outside the two brackets, it should be x minus 3, and then you pick one of the brackets, x minus 1. So you will end up with x minus 3 into x minus 1 as the correct factorization of that. Finally, we're looking at this b squared minus b minus 20. So now we shall have that if you work out this, product is negative 20, sum is negative 1. Now, as I said earlier, if the product is negative, then it simply means that one of the numbers is negative and the other one is positive. So now think about two numbers such that when you multiply them, you get negative 20 as the product. Example will be 20 and negative 1, negative 20 and 1. Which are the numbers? 10 and negative 2, or negative 2, or negative 10 and 2, negative 10 and 2. Which are the numbers? Other numbers is 4 and negative 5, and then negative 4 and 5, negative 4 and 5. Now we have, this is one of the lists that will give us negative 20 when multiplied, because 20 times negative 1 is negative 20, negative 20 times 1 negative 20, 10 times negative 2 negative 20, negative 10 by 2 negative 20, 4 times negative 5 negative 20, negative 4 by 5 negative 20. But now which pair will give us, if we add them, we get negative 1. Of course it cannot be this, it cannot be this, it cannot be this, and cannot be this. So it is either 4 plus negative 5 or negative 4 plus 5. Which one will give us negative 1? Think about it very quickly. Which one? 4 plus negative 5. The factors is 4 and negative 5. We substitute the middle part. So we shall have b squared plus 4b minus 5b minus 20. Then now pair them up. The common term in the first bracket is b into b plus 4. The other bracket will also have b plus 4. Then what will we use to multiply this bracket, second bracket, such that when you open it, we end up with minus 5b. From b to minus 5b, that automatically becomes negative 5. So that negative 5 by b, it gives you negative 5b. Now at this point, pick the numbers outside the bracket, b minus 5, and then pick one of the numbers inside the bracket. One of the brackets, I mean b minus or b plus 4, b plus 4. So therefore the correct factorization will be b minus 5 into b plus 4. Correct. Now that marks the end. So I want you to try the following. X squared minus 9x plus 14, factorize that. The next, x squared plus 8x plus 15, try to factorize that. The next, r squared plus 2r minus 35. Finally, x squared plus 3x plus 2. Try to factorize that and comment with your answer. Bye.